Hi, my name is Scott. I'm from the Economics Tutoring Center, and today I'll be doing some examples of short-run and long-run aggregate supply and demand. Please make sure to check my notation and language use with your professor because it may vary. Okay, so now we have, this is a different question. So first it just wants us to draw the short-run and long-run equilibrium, which we've been doing. So same thing as before. Price level here, we have short-run aggregate supply, aggregate demand, and then we know that we're in long-run equilibrium, so this long-run aggregate supply is a vertical line that goes right through this intersection. Also note that it says we're talking about the U.S. economy, so this will be relevant in very shortly. So if we look at part B, it tells us that a boom occurs in Canada, and we want to show what happens in the U.S. as a result of that, both in the short run and long run. So again, we'll draw our graph. So first we'll just talk about the short run. We have short run aggregate supply and aggregate demand. So at first it may not be clear how this change in Canada affects the US, but if you recall, so the aggregate demand equation, just like from last time, it's equal to consumption plus investment spending plus government spending plus net exports. And this net exports is exports minus imports. And so if a boom occurs in Canada, then people in Canada are spending more money. They might have more income, and because of that, since the U.S. is a major trading partner with Canada, the U.S. will export more to Canada because they're spending more. They're going to demand more goods from the U.S. So the U.S. has higher exports as a result of that. So aggregate demand increases, and that's a shift to the right. So that's what happens in the short run. Again, for aggregate supply in the short run, there's no shift. For the same reason as in the last question, because the cost of production are fixed in the short run. So this is all that happens in the short run. Now again, we want to talk about the long run effects as well. So we started in long run equilibrium right here. So this was our long run aggregate supply. In the long run, costs of production increase for the same reason that workers can demand higher wage and other resources will adjust to the higher price level that we have. I say higher because it's higher in the short run. It's higher than where the economy started. So once these costs of production increase, suppliers will decrease their output back to the level we were at in the long run. So again, we have our natural level of output here in the long run. So it asks us to talk about GDP, price level, and unemployment in the short run and long run. So we'll just summarize that here. We have short run, long run. So what happens to GDP in the short run? Well, we showed that it increased, right? Because prices are higher and costs of production are the same, so producers will produce more in the short run. But then we showed that in the long run we end up back at a long run equilibrium, and that has the same natural level of output. So GDP, that's for GDP. Next we have price level, and so in the short run we have this change here, so the aggregate demand went up, and that caused our price level to increase. Then when the short run shifts to the left, that causes another increase in price level. So price level increases in the short run, and then again when we adjust to long run. And then finally we can look at unemployment. And that actually just moves sort of inversely with GDP. So as GDP goes up, unemployment goes down, because to produce more output with the same technology, you have to employ more resources and workers. And then because GDP reached the same level in the long run, then we say that output was the same in the long run. And that's why this is sometimes called the natural level of unemployment. Okay, so we showed that unemployment in the short run will decrease. But then just as GDP adjusts back to its natural level, unemployment does the same. So after the unemployment rate goes down in the short run, it adjusts and goes back up and eventually reaches the same level in the long run. Okay, so that's our examples for today of short run and long run aggregate supply and demand. I hope it helped, and if you have any further questions, please come into the tutoring center or ask your professor.